Hi everyone, Nadia Davis here. Welcome home. Welcome to a place where we work together to create a home within you. Home feels safe, hopefully judgment-free. A home within you can be created, and it feels free of our mind's attack thoughts. Our mind tends to attack thoughts on self in the form of shame and fear, and on others in the form of judgment, and it separates us. It separates us from our true selves, and it separates us from each other and the truth of what we all are, which is infinite beings. Infinite beings, whole and complete, that are separate from this finite life. It seems like such a faraway concept for people to hear that. So, I have shared my entire recovery story. And in that recovery story, there is many relapses. There's treatment, jail, and hospitalizations. Yet there is also a deep, passionate diving in to so many different modalities that helped me. From therapy to a fellowship, to books, to songs, to personal reflective writing. All of this happened over nearly a decade of time. And the last 7 years was really when I started working to recognize the truth of what I really am. I barely began to start looking within instead of focusing on everything outside me. And so here on Spiritual Advocacy Fridays, I share these skills and I can hold space because here we personally advocate for our true selves by hearing and utilizing skills to acknowledge, to know, to tap into, and connect with the truth of what we are on a daily basis. When we do that, we can ban our own shame. When we are aware of our own mind-made shame, we can recognize when others, whether it be entities, the media, our spouse, a friend, a neighbor, a stranger, we can recognize when they are in their own fears and judgments and projecting via shaming. Beginning with our own shame, recognizing that in others will lead us to living life where we choose love, where we choose to see that all of this is indeed temporary, it's finite, and that what ultimately binds us is the infinite truth of what we really are. When we do that, the world can change. Systems can change. And we will start to begin to see an inner relationship and relatedness between how we have devised and developed this finite life and how it keeps us separated from the truth of what we are. Systems can change, and it begins with our own banning of shame. So this week's theme has been overcoming grief. What comes up is death. Grief comes from many different sources. The end of life is often the beginning of another's transformation. death is inevitable. It's the one thing that we know is inevitable. It's certain. We can't avoid it. Personally, I've had a lot of death and loss in my life. My father died very abruptly, as he was an inspiration and my hero to become a lawyer and follow in his footsteps to help others. And he died abruptly of a heart attack 28 years ago tomorrow, November 12th, at the very beginning of my second year of law school. And I struggled. And I know that others that have experienced the loss of a parent they were close to or that felt some sort of inspiration from feel lost in this world. The symbol that represented everything they believe in is gone. That's what it felt like to me. And I struggled to believe in good in the world, in justice, and so many different things in my mind. Yet something deep down, some connection beyond all of this, kept me going and was there by my side, lighting the way. That is, until I picked up a drink or a drug to numb the mental pain. Once that cut me off from any spiritual connection with my father, it took a long time thereafter to build that connection again. Just a couple of years after my father passed away, I lost my best friend, who I had mourned my father with, in front of me from ovarian cancer. I was with her when she took her last breath and further detached and disassociated. Shortly, literally around the same time, I suffered a near-death car accident. Not breathing when they found me, 22 broken bones, a punctured lung, my brain bleeding. I entered another space. And I felt the presence of other souls around me that at first I did not recognize, yet in my heart and soul, I knew that I knew them. I do believe that some of these were the souls of my future children, where I had no inkling in my mind that I would be a mother. And I do believe that my father and Priscilla and others were there present. So if somebody like me that has experienced death personally, as well as around me, knows that death is inevitable, it's certain, why do we act as though and believe today that death is possibly avoidable? Why do we act as such? Is it fear? Is it personally being afraid of the suffering that one might go through, the unanswered questions, the unhealed wounds or relationships, regrets? Is it the fear of the pain that maybe a loved one that is dying is going through? Why is it that we avoid it? We always focus on what is lacking, what can be received or gained tomorrow, whether it be materially or in roles. Why is it that we act as though we'll live forever and others will live forever, instead of appreciating what is before us today? What is present with us today? Why don't we make the most of every moment? non-stressfully and with the ease of mind, that we are making the most of a given moment. Deeply acknowledging the reality of death is a source of freedom. In yogic philosophy, we know this. It isn't confined to that. I'm telling you personally that deeply acknowledging the inevitability of death can be a source of freedom. Death is not an end. It is often a beginning. By accepting our mortality, we can free ourselves from this running to standstill mode of life of something's always lacking. Looking at the faults in a partner instead of focusing on all the beautiful things. Finding things to attack a partner about instead of seeing their acts as merely love, cries for love. Why is it that we take the other route, thinking that we are immortal? Knowing there indeed will be an end to this finite life is a powerful source of inspiration. It's almost an urgency to listen to what everybody has, and that is the unanswered question of what started all of this. Whether you're religious, spiritual, agnostic, atheist, a scientist, whatever it might be, and I have them all in my family and around me, we all have the same question. Where did the universe come from? What scientific formula occurred to suddenly burst particles and create universes? And how did those universes become little fractals that became cells that then became us? What was the originator? I'm not saying who, what? Because when we die in this finite life, that knows. It created it all. And we ultimately are part of it. So wouldn't we return to it? Yes. Whether you believe that or not, death and acknowledging that it is inevitable can be an inspiration to freedom and to a whole entire transformation, exploring so many different ways to feel a connection to that indefinable source of it all. I found that connection by creating a space on a daily basis where I can sit and observe my thoughts. I can't shut them down all the time, but I can sit and I can observe my thoughts. And I can say, I am not this body nor the thoughts my mind makes. I can sit back, and I highly recommend you do this too. Reflect on what activities I did alone. What were my thoughts during that time? What activities I may have done in a group or with another? What were my thoughts at that time? How were those thoughts? In fear, shame, or judging? Because when they were separating me from love. They were separating me from a neutral space. Looking down upon myself and others from a neutral space that is in spirit. That feels like home. That is what I call a home within me. It's not hard to sit down first and just create a quiet space. The next step is trying to be aware of our thoughts. The third step is identifying thoughts for what they are. Fear, judgment, shame. So just begin today by finding a quiet spot and watching yourself as you sit down and give that to yourself. Today, with the theme, the end is often the beginning, and that death is inevitable, and that when we embrace that reality and truth, we can find freedom and connection to the spirits of those that have passed. I want to share a song, the lyrics of which say it all. It is a song that my brother Mark Davis wrote, whom gave me approval to include the lyrics in my book. And that song is called Reminder. I am going to read the lyrics. And it really says it all. So let me find it in the book. The cool thing about his song is that let's see, it won't let me pull up the lyrics here on my laptop, but I'm gonna get them, so please be patient. I'm going to play it for you here. Okay, this song, again, please buy this song on Apple Music, and I will say the words to you. The first is Goodbye to All the Familiar. The second, Goodbye to the Intellect. And the last, okay. Goodbye to all the familiar. When somebody dies, everything has changed.
Goodbye to all the familiar.
Goodbye to all the familiar. It's a crumbling cage. Thank you for following. Goodbye to mortal illusion. Into my youthful age. I am no longer a slave to sorrow. Now she can only release me.
When she comes, aggression reminds me that I belong to you.
That was goodbye to all the familiar. Again, this is my brother, Mark Davis. Goodbye to the reign of the intellect. I set him free. My brother Mark. Set your intellect free. He stole my belief and emotion. And put his reins on me. Say goodbye to your intellect. We have to say goodbye to the familiar when someone passes. I'm no longer a slave to reason. Now he can only release me. For when the intellect comes, the possession reminds me that I belong to you. Mark Davis, on his album You Came Screaming. This is the last part. We said goodbye to our intellect. We said goodbye to the familiar. Now, I give myself to the river that takes me.
I give myself to the sea. I give again to the rain cloud that brings me.
Give myself to the sea and the rain cloud that brings me. To dry land that dreams about me. I'm no longer a stranger to freedom. Now you can only release me. Thank you, Brother Mark Davis, for when he comes, the recognition reminds me that I belong to you. So when there is death, we must say goodbye to the familiar. We must say goodbye to our intellect that binds us down and our thoughts. Goodbye to sorrow. We can find freedom in making the most of our present day and moments with each and every person that is in front of us, and with giving ourselves love by finding some quiet space to banish our shame. Join me on Sunday Healing Connection, and thank you for joining me here today. Be your own spiritual advocate, and please keep an eye out like a hawk on your own shame, and let's put a stop to shaming done by others. I love you. Bye.